In a world full of diversity, one thing that connects us is that we all have to eat to survive, but our current food and agricultural systems are broken. Our global populations face hunger and at the same time are plagued with obesity. While we're growing massive amounts of food, we're wasting over 1/3 before it ever reaches the people who need it the most. These challenges are complex and monumental, and so must be our solutions. Agriculture is in the heart of sustainable development. Moving from aspiration to action, the TEEB Symposium met in Nairobi, bringing stakeholders together to work face-to-face, exploring the application of the framework.
By 2050, we have to increase food production by 50%. So the question for all of us, especially for the community that is meeting, is how do we actually position ourselves now to respond to that challenge, which can also be an opportunity in the sector of agriculture as well as in feeding the population.
We are providing a comprehensive framework, and we are valuing the externalities of the different sectors. Positive externalities and negative externalities. And therefore we can prove that cheap food sometimes is very, very expensive if you look at all the externalities. First, in the supermarket. And the price is quite low in supermarkets. Second, we have to repair environmental damage done by agriculture. Third, we know that food is the most important driver for human health problems. Now we have to move to the next level. We have not published a report to be put in the shelves of the libraries. It has to be applied at the ground level. Because in the end, we don't want to change scientific theory, we would like to change reality.
I feel TEEB is important because it addresses a fundamental thinking challenge for mankind, which is that there's a huge difference between price and value, and we don't get it. We think that things that are valuable are those which have a price, in other words, those which trade in markets. But actually the reality is not that. I mean, we value, you and I, human beings, we value family, friendship, love, nature, but none of these things have prices. Right? Does that mean we should just destroy them as we are doing now? That's the problem. The challenge that TEEB is trying to address is the economic invisibility of important things that we value, including nature.
In my view, what is unique about TEEBAgriFood is it's a community that is comprised of key stakeholders that are absolutely central to make a difference in the agri and food systems. So TEEBAgriFood also provides a platform for learning and sharing information.
The TEEB framework is a new and unique approach for policymakers, a tool to map out impacts on a value chain that reach across all sectors, accounting for nutrition, land use change, and biodiversity, among others.
Often we see that decisions are based on very limited metrics such as yields per hectare, productivity. So the framework is an honest description of our agricultural system and allows us to identify these links that I mentioned earlier with development, with sustainability, and it does not limit us to yields per hectare productivity.
We all agree that we need change and that change is absolutely essential. We cannot continue the way that we're going. Farming done holistically can generate so many benefits, and rice is a very good example of that. As opposed to the conventional way of perhaps using a lot of agrochemicals, you can have the benefits of being able to grow fish along with the rice. You can manage the water for the people downstream. You can generate incomes by smaller scale processing. So there's many, many benefits that can come from it.
The future is the better and economically stronger small farm. We just have to recognize that they need to be stronger and better. Give them the policies that enable them to grow more food sustainably. Give them the policies and the incentives that give them fairer prices for their produce, and most of all, do what you can to reduce their risks.
Unfortunately, we tend to, when we talk about economics and costs, we tend to almost always emphasize the costs and the negative. And a lot of the academics, the environmental economics, is always looking at the problems and the costs of them, and we don't really know how to put, it's maybe not a monetary value, but something that really shines the light on the positive directions.
I am very optimistic. I am generally a very optimistic person, and I do not look at the global policymakers to be the change that will. I look at me to be the change. in this world. You know, we're sitting here in Kenya where Professor Wangari Maathai, the late Wangari Maathai, the Nobel Prize winner, once said, we are the ones who know. The burden falls on on us who know. We must take action.
I think there needs to be a large movement created for people, by people and of people, essentially asking for change. Accept that we have a food system that is broken, but also accept that there are solutions staring us in the face. And we just need to get out of this rut, this mindset of, oh, we must stick with the pesticides and the fertilizers and keep doing what we've done disastrously for the last 50 years, which is to destroy soil fertility, create a problem for ourselves, human health, fundamentally. We can get out, we can break out of this, right? And people are doing so. Let's be with them, let's support them, and let's make this multiply.